here is an example of what you're going to see throughout the presentation today. Pretty much all of the slides will look like this. You can see what the title of the release feature is, followed by the month that the release came out. The releases are automatically put out for you, so you don't have to run any updates unless it involves the updating of the back office like Jonas Club Management, Active Management, or Encore. And there is also the path where you can locate the feature within the ClubHouse Online. Below that, there is a brief description of the feature along with the photo. And if you see the video icon below, it is an indication that there is a video available for that feature. So with that said, thank you so much again, and I'm going to pass it over to Rob, who's going to start off with what's new in ClubHouse Online.
So I'll take us through some general stuff that's been done over the course of last year. So one of the things we did across many of the booking modules based on client request was provided clubs with the ability to determine if a given module was going to allow the addition of members. So this applies to court booking, event management, tea times, dining reservations, appointment booking, and class scheduling. But you have the ability to say you don't want to allow the addition of members, or you don't want to allow the additions of buddies and groups, both of which are off by default unless you've already turned them on. But this was released middle of 2023, I would say. You now have the ability to determine which of the modules support these individually or collectively, depending on how you want to configure it. So any of the booking modules, you can determine whether or not members can be added to a booking or whether buddies and groups can be added as well. Within appointment booking, we added a new landing page setting. So by default, it lands on the info tab if you're using the appointment booking module. However, you can have it land on today's date instead. So this is a configuration within Club Central. So when you're managing your site, you can go again, like it defaults to the info tab, but you can modify that to be today. And then when members land on the appointment booking module, they will land on today's date as opposed to the info tab wherein you can put content. In addition to that, we added a modification to schedule availability, which makes it a little easier for members to use, in that if a given provider is working multiple jobs on a given day, the schedule availability will reflect their availability based on the service that's selected. So if a given job cannot perform a given service and you've selected that service in viewing a provider's schedule, then the times when they're working that job that can't provide it will show as unavailable, whereas the times where they're working the job that can provide it will show as available. So if you're using multiple jobs, a given personal trainer also does golf instruction, then they could be working half a day as a personal trainer and the other half as a golf instructor. When you select one of the personal training services, the times when they're working the golf instructor job will not show availability. So just an easier experience for end users. Within company management, we added the ability to add alt tags for the social media icons. So you can add as many of them as you want. There's a variety of options in terms of other URLs you can use, other icons you can use, and then in addition to that, you can add alt text for accessibility compliance, where you can add alt text that when a screen reader is going through it, they'll read that icon alt text to the user, especially if they're visually impaired and they need to know what they're mousing over on the screen or tabbing through. So just adding alt text to those social media icons. We've also added something that's of some significance to clubs, is the ability to implement two-factor authentication. And you can turn this on for both administrators or members, and members will have the ability to opt out of it. However, if you enable it, you can set the interval between them. That's in days. So you can say, every other day or every day, members must use two-factor authentication, or alternatively, you can just put it to 0 and say they must, every time they authenticate, they have to use two-factor. What'll happen is upon successfully entering their username and password, they'll be presented with a passcode field. An email will be sent to the user email we have on file to provide them the passcode. And as long as they can get access to that email, they can copy the passcode and paste it into the field provided, and they'll be successfully authenticated. So just a way to ensure that only the people that are members of your club are using those member accounts. So just an enhanced security feature to ensure only the right people are getting access to your site. You'll see here on first authentication, if opt-out is enabled, they'll be presented with this button where they can say, I want to opt out or I want to continue. You can determine whether or not this is even available in terms of allowing opt-out. If you don't want to allow opt-out, you don't have to. And in that case, no one will be presented with this box upon their successful authentication. Additionally, if you enable opt-out, members will be able to go into the settings section of their profile. When they edit their profile, they'll be able to uncheck that box to disable it. Again, if allow opt-out is not checked, neither of these options are presented to users, and they're forced to authenticate using two-factor as frequently as you'd like. Another highly requested feature that was added this year was the ability to see relatives bookings. So there's kind of two settings to this. So when a person goes to My Bookings, under normal circumstances or prior to this enhancement, they would only see the bookings that were made by them or for them. So if I made a booking for myself and someone else or someone else did the same for me, I could see those all within My Bookings feed. What we've added is the ability to see your relatives' booking. So if you make a booking on behalf of your children, you're not on the booking, but they are, or they themselves made a booking, or your spouse made a booking, you can have the ability to turn on allow relatives to see others' bookings, which then presents an option within My Bookings, which they can check, which will show them. Alternatively, or in addition to that, you can also set this by default. So you can say show relatives bookings by default, which means that flag is checked by default. And as you can see on the second slide, there's the flag I'm talking about, show relatives bookings. And then when you are showing a relatives booking, it will tell you to whom the booking belongs, if not you. So in this case, you can see I'm looking at my booking, and then there's a personal training appointment made by Danielle McConnell, who is my wife. And so her appointment appears to me when that flag is checked. And like I said, if you set that default setting, that flag will be checked by default. So a nice feature, especially if people are making a lot of bookings on behalf of their children and they want to be aware of them and see them in their bookings feed. We've also added integration to Encore Tea Times. So if you are using the Encore Tea Times module, we can pull those bookings into the My Booking screen. There's a little integration piece that you'll have to get configured, and you'll need to talk to our Encore support team to get the credentials that are required. But when it is implemented, they will come over as a tea time, but they will only show the current player. There's no relative support feature, or there's no ability to see all the people on the booking, just so we're clear. We also added integration to Encore Tea Times tournament software. So much in the same way we do this with Golf Genius. In many cases, clubs were piggybacking on the Golf Genius integration to integrate to the Encore Tea Times tournaments. This can be set up if you have Encore Tea Times. It's really just a single sign-on, and then you'll have the ability to specify within events which of those are Encore Tea Times tournaments and the URL to those, so that when a member clicks on that event in the calendar, or they click on that event in the upcoming events widget, it'll always redirect them into the Encore Tea Times event, so directly into the tee sheet where that event is taking place. So you can see the further configuration. If a given event is an Encore Tea Times tournament, you're going to check the box, you're going to put in the URL for the Encore Tea Times tournament. And if you're using both Golf Genius and Encore Tea Times and you're setting up tournaments in both, you can choose between them as opposed to just a simple checkbox. You can choose which one applies to a particular event, and you can send them over to the appropriate third party. JCM Online Hotel. So if you're using the Online Hotel module, we've added a new feature which says don't allow room type selection and search. So instead of members having to look at a specific room type or being aware of it, you can just not select any and it'll return all of the results for all room types that satisfy the min-max party size you're putting on your reservation. So it's much more similar to other third-party event booking systems where you don't have to select room type. This is a configurable feature. If you still want to allow them to select room type, that feature will still be in effect. It's only if you check this box that room type will not be presented within the search parameters of a hotel search. On the mobile app, the generic app many clubs are using today, we added the ability to see what your password is when you're typing it in. So if your browser or your device has remembered it, and it just automatically goes in there and you want to see what it actually is, you can view that using the eye. Tap once to see it, tap once to turn it off, much like you would see anywhere else in a password field. We've also improved the way PDF viewer page types appear within the mobile app. So you now have the ability to put a teaser image on it, and that teaser image will show up in the mobile navigation as the background of the tile. So that's the typical usage of the teaser image. There are other applications, but typically people are using this on mobile within the generic and custom apps to highlight what it is. So it's not just a color bar with text on it anymore. You can apply a background image through the teaser image within the PDF viewer page type. The CHO Premium App is the new app we released last year. A newer look and feel. Some more functionality has been added into it, and we added multi-factor authentication to the app as well. So same process. Members will be prompted as often as necessary, and when they are prompted, they can get the passcode from their email, enter it, and authenticate into the app. With the new ClubHouse Online mobile app, we've also added the ability to sync content to its CMS. So automatically, all of the content pages that live within your mobile node will be shipped over, provided they're not, not published anymore. Those will be excluded, or they're hidden from navigation. But everything will be brought over into the new ClubHouse Online mobile app CMS and will be set as a disabled tile. You'll then have the ability to enable which of those content elements you want to add. This will happen once daily, and you can even manually force it by way of this button within the Imports tab of the Fuel CMS, and that'll go grab your content dynamically. So if you add something today and you want to see it immediately, you can click on this green button. Otherwise, on a daily basis, it's going to update that content, and you'll see it the next morning latest. And again, it won't automatically drop in your content tree. You will have to enable them just so that you're not putting content that you don't necessarily want. Within the member card feature of the app, we added the member photo. If there is no member photo on file for a particular member within their member card, they'll see the silhouette avatar as opposed to an actual photo of them. So you should notice this by now if you're using the new CHO mobile app, that the member photo is now presented on this screen. We also have added Google Analytics tracking, so Google Analytics 4 tracker planting for a bunch of different scenarios in most of our modules, really focusing heavily on booking started, booking completed. We're going to be tracking some statistics in terms of conversion rate for those people that start a booking, how many of them successfully complete it. But there are page view checks as well as anytime a member is added. So we're just trying to get a better idea of how people are using the modules, how people are using the apps. This information right now is sort of our data, but we will be making this available to clubs through a feature within the mobile app as well. So that'll be coming in due time. We also added a new flag to push notifications. This is specifically for the new ClubHouse Online mobile app, where you can specify that a link requires authentication, which the app can then interpret and pass them into the appropriate content page within the link. So it's relative to the URL that you're putting in. Does it require authentication? If so, when you check that box, the app can interpret it and direct them accordingly. This really came up as a result of the way we were handling links to our own calendar. So we've resolved that issue. If you're putting calendar links in here that you want people to go to, you're alerting them to an event that's taking place tonight or an event that's taking place soon, and you want them to register, make sure you click the required authentication field so that they'll be presented with that calendar event immediately upon clicking the link within the push notification. We changed the way we configure Golf Genius single sign-on. Really doesn't apply to you. We just made it more central. Same place we do the Encore Tee Times integration from a single sign-on perspective. So we're just nesting it within our third-party integration as opposed to having a dedicated page for it. So it eliminates the need to have a page. You can just we'll always reference this configuration when you're setting up Golf Genius single sign-on. We've also increased the character limit for the URL field of push notifications. Previously, it was 100 characters. Now it's up to 500 characters. This was largely to support push notifications with links that are going to calendar events or filtered calendars, because they tend to be quite long in terms of all the query string parameters we add into them with regard to all the various IDs and filters that are applicable. So just know that you can add any URL up to 500 characters in length within the URL field of a push notification now. Last, I want to say March, we pretty well went live with Stripe online payments. So Stripe is sort of a leader in the online payment and e-commerce space. So we decided to partner with them to offer an online payment solution in addition to what we already provide with respect to Elevon eMoney. And this is purely for online payments at this time. There is work on a Stripe back office integration for Jonas Club Management, but right now only online payments available. You can we set up a Stripe connected account for you, and then we link that account to your ClubHouse Online website. And then you can configure within it the account ID parameter, which is required. And then you can start processing payments with Stripe. Now, what type of payments are you going to process? That's up to you. We offer both credit card and ACH, and we also offer spot and recurring payments. So members can set up, can make payments immediately, or you can enable the ability for them to make recurring payments. In terms of recurring payments, they can be made both for a defined amount, which will be like, if you want to pay $500 monthly to cover some amount of your dues, or if they want to pay off their balance automatically on a particular date of the month, they can set that up as well using the balance due option when setting up a recurring payment. When they submit a payment and the payment is processed through Stripe, they'll be notified immediately. If they're using ACH, there is a bit of a delay between when they submit the payment and when it's processed. We'll let them know that their payment has been submitted for processing. And then when it is successfully completed, we will notify the member via email, because it could happen 2 to 5 business days later. So they're not going to sit there and wait for it. So we'll let them know that it is processing. If it should fail, we'll notify them as well. And we're covering that in subsequent slides, I'm sure. But from a spot payment perspective, you're using what's known as a Stripe checkout. So we'll pass in the amount that you tell us. We'll pass in any convenience fee or surcharges, rather, that are applicable. And then the member can choose their payment method that they're going to use, either, like I said, credit card or ACH, and then put their information in. If they've previously entered a credit card, then there will be cards available for them to choose as well. Once they click on pay, it's going to route them back to us. And we'll pass the payment down to the back office, which I'll cover in a little more detail later. But like I said, recurring payments, 2 options: fixed or my current balance due. If it's fixed, you specify the amount. If it's my current balance due, we're going to figure out what's due on their account as of the moment that the payment is going to be made, and pay that amount to the back office. So if you have $140.92 due, we will pay $140.92 on the payment method of your choosing at the time at which you configure the recurring payment to take place. When setting up recurring payments, there is a payment expiration. We allow a variety of different options in terms of how many payments you can make on a given recurrence. So you can see weekly, biweekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and annually have different maximums. Most of them amount to effectively 3 years. I think 99 is the most we can do in a sequence. So weekly is 99 as opposed to 156. Otherwise, they're all set up to be effectively 3 years worth of payments. And that'll end automatically. Members can always go in and edit them, modify the end date to an earlier date than the current end date that's specified, provided that there aren't any payments that are in progress. It'll stop from that point forward. We use this thing called the Stripe element, which keeps us out of PCI DSS and PA DSS scope. All the credit card information is securely captured within the Stripe element and sent to Stripe, where they store credit cards. We don't store any credit cards. We just store the token that they give us back and submit that to them when we're making a payment. As you can see from a given member, they can manage the recurring payments. Like I said, they can edit it, modify the payment method, modify the end date, modify the amount for that matter, all contained within this edit screen here. Entirely up to them how they want to handle it. And if they want to deactivate it for a period of time, they can make it inactive as well. So just some nice features for members managing the recurring payments. We also provide a payments dashboard in Club Central, where you can see all the payments that have been made, their statuses, and then in some cases where a payment was successful in terms of going to Stripe, when that successful payment is made, they notify ClubHouse Online. ClubHouse Online then fires a payload to Jonas Club Management or Encore, which can use that payload to create postings on behalf of that member with respect to AR, the payment amount, and any surcharges that were applied, which will all be posted when you run that end of day. In JCM, you do have the option of setting up Club Automation to automatically post online statement payments. In Encore, that option is not currently available, but it creates a batch for you anyway, which you can then post all the payments from a given day. So every day it'll create a new file, but there are scenarios where it's successfully made against the payment method, credit card or ACH, but upon receipt of the notification from Stripe, we try to fire that payload, and for whatever reason, we can't reach the club, then we'll mark it in this dashboard and give you the option to reprocess it. Because we know it was successful, we're just trying to make sure that we close the loop between the web and the back office, that the accounting is done correctly on behalf of the member. So some cases you'll see in this action column at the far right, there'll be a reprocess, which will just submit the payment to the back office again. Otherwise, if the payment failed, there will be ability to click on that to see why the payment failed. Probably expired credit card or insufficient funds. Any of that information would be captured therein. In terms of recurring payments, you get to determine which options are actually available to your members. So you may not want to provide all of the 6 different options that we offer. You may want to restrict them to some subset of those. And again, that is up to you. And what you select will be available for members to choose. They can only choose the ones that are selected. The other ones will not appear to them at that time. This is applicable to Stripe online payments. Like I said, if there's a payment that fails between ClubHouse Online and Stripe, we'll send the member an email to their user email address, informing them that there was a payment failure for a particular payment in the amount, and then we'll let them know if it was credit card, they have not been charged, or if it's ACH, no funds have been withdrawn, and then we'll give them the ability to correct the payment and with a hyperlink to their statement page. Again, like I said, if we fail to send a payment to the back office, not only will we allow you to reprocess it, but we'll notify an email address or multiple email addresses specified within this failed payment notification recipient email addresses. So if there is a failed payment, we will send a notification, or not a failed payment, but a payment that failed to process to the back office. We'll send your staff an email to let them know that it has occurred. And again, they're able to go to the dashboard and reconcile any of those by trying to reprocess them. And if they can't reprocess them, if that fails, then it's time to call ClubHouse Online support and they can assist you in getting that up and running again. So this is the scenario I was talking about. Payload to the back office is not able to send. We'll send the email to your staff and notify them that it failed to send to the club, give them all the details of it. So if they want to trace it through the Stripe dashboard, they can, through their own Stripe account, the connected account, all the information required to do so would be provided in that email address. Sorry, in that email message. So again, if a member's payment fails, just so they know that it won't necessarily be reflected on their statement, we would let them know, and they can again contact the club to make sure that it gets reprocessed so that that it would apply to their account, right? Because the money is going to be taken from their account, their bank account, or from their credit card, because the payment was successful, but the full round trip wasn't completed. So we want to let the members know to make sure they can take action if none is taken by the club, to ensure that their accounts are correctly updated. We've modified the surcharges for now that they're specific to credit cards. We will be adding ACH specific surcharges in the next month or so, where you'll be able to set different values for each. So credit card will be a percentage up to a maximum of 3%. And you can set that value and it'll be calced for you when the member puts the amount in. We will be adding, like I said, ACH surcharges. They'll be flat rate and you can specify the amount up to a maximum of $5. But for now, ACH does not have surcharges with Stripe, whereas credit cards do. And another change we made is the members have to select the payment method up front. That's exclusively for the calculation of surcharges. So if they're picking credit card, we know we need to calc a surcharge. If they're picking pre-authorized debit or any other ACH method, at this point, we would not be calcing a surcharge. And further to that point, once we separated the two apart, we had to force you to select which payment methods you want to support. You can choose either or both. You can only choose one bank transfer method, usually the one that's applicable in your jurisdiction: US Bank, Canadian Pre-Authorized Debit, UK Bank Debit or BACS, as well as the Europe Bank Debit. So depending on where you're located, you can choose the appropriate ACH model you want to use, and that'll apply all the rules and mandates that jurisdiction is subject to, and allow for the payment to come through from a bank account. Online Chorum Hotel. So we have a sister company named Jonas Chorum. They provide a property management solution called Jonas Chorum. We have integrated that within ClubHouse Online to provide an online booking engine for it. So there's a number of clubs using it today. And over the course of last year, after we introduced it, we introduced a number of enhancements with respect to various limits and enforcements that we're going to be doing. So one of the things we did was max reservations per day. So we know some clubs have, busy seasons where a member will make multiple bookings in a given day, and you can set this by season. So you can say, I want to enforce an in-season daily reservation limit. When does my season start? When does my season end? And what's my limit? And then you can say, for off-season, I want to enforce it as well, but I want to have a different limit. So you don't necessarily need to enforce off-season daily reservation limits, but if you do want to, you can enforce both and set different limits for each. And if you run into a booking restriction, members would be notified with a message that reads as follows. We also provided the ability to disable online cancellation. So if you don't want to allow members to cancel their room reservations online and force them to contact the club, you can check this disallow online cancellation button or a flag, and it will remove the cancel button and replace it with text that reads, to cancel, please contact the club. We can also set up a maximum booking length, so for members and guests, so you can have different values for each. That will, whatever your limit is set to, it'll look from today forward and give you only that many days to choose. So based off that max booking length restriction, members can only choose a start date and then only be able to pick 14 days thereafter. Guests would only be able to pick a start date and then pick 7 days thereafter. So arrival date plus the max booking length is where you get the dates, the start and end dates for a reservation range for a member or guest, depending on whether they're different. We also set up advanced booking restrictions by client type, and again, similar way in which it's enforced. This is probably the wrong image here, but basically you can set up a maximum advanced booking restriction per type. So you can say a member can only book 14 days in advance. So if today is January 17th, which last I checked it is, I'd be able to make a reservation from today until January 31st, and then February 1st, I would not be able to make a reservation. If I were a guest, I would be able to make a reservation from today, or if someone was booking a reservation on behalf of a guest, they'd be able to make a reservation from January 17th through January 24th, but nothing thereafter. We also introduced custom module styling, I think late in 2022. Online Chorum Hotel is subject to that styling as well. So if you're choosing the colors for your banners and your fonts and your highlighted link colors, all of that will apply within the Online Chorum Hotel module as well. Okay, dining reservations. We made some significant enhancements over the course of 2023. Starting with advanced booking start time. So a lot of clubs complain that, I can make a reservation, but people can start booking at 12 a.m. and some of my members, are, night owls, and some of them are not early risers. So people are getting up and they're not able to make a booking because other people have already taken it. So basically what we said was, okay, if they can book 7 days in advance based on their advance restriction, you can set up a start time. You set up a start time for that 7th day. So if I can book 7 days in advance and the start time is say 7 a.m., then as of 7 a.m. this morning, I can book the 24th. As of 7 a.m. tomorrow, I can book the 25th. As of 7 a.m. on Friday, I can book the 26th. But until 7 a.m. tomorrow, I can't book the 25th. So it's basically saying we're going to open them up, but we're going to open them up at a time that's equitable, that doesn't advantage people with that like to stay up later. and are willing to wait till after midnight to capture that reservation for Friday night or Saturday night. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it off to Himanshu Shah, who will take over from this point to go through the remainder of the enhancements.
So let's continue with the dining reservations. So we already also introduced the ability for clubs to disable the online cancellation for dining reservations. This will prevent members from canceling their online dining reservations from the confirmation screen as well as the My Booking screen. You can enable this in the global settings for online dining reservation settings and enable the label that says disable online cancellation. Right. We have also allowed members to edit their online dining reservations. This is a significant feature that was introduced late last year. So in order to take advantage of these features, clubs must be running JAM or Encore with the version 23.11.2.0 or higher. Clubs can enable this feature by checking the allow reservation edit flag again in the global settings for online dining reservations. This is how it will look like for the members. Once they book a reservation on the confirmation screen or in the My Booking screen, they will be presented with the feature that's called edit booking. So once they click on it, it will guide them to the dining search screen, which will automatically load their existing reservation parameters, that is a date, time, party size, and the room. On the top, it will also display a note of their existing reservation, and they are editing that time. So users can change any of the parameters of the reservation and again find for available times, and system will show them the available times as per the availabilities.
The key thing, I just want to mention one thing. When they're editing, they're not going to lose their existing reservation until they complete the process. It'll swap the reservation for a new one. So they have no danger of losing it. If they don't find availability for their new parameters, that's fine. They can just abort, and they keep the reservation they already had.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Rob. Okay, so once the members are able to find the availability as per the requirement, they'll be the existing or added guest will automatically be shown on the reservation. But if they choose the party size which is less than the party size that was in the original booking, it will remove the guest from the bottom of the list. Upon clicking the book now button, the reservation will be updated, and if a new table is not required, that means the existing table could still accommodate the new party size and the time. The table will be the same, and upon completing the reservation, users will receive the dining reservation confirmation emails as usual if it's enabled in the back office. Please note that if a user attempts to edit a reservation that is too close to when it's scheduled to take place based on the minimum advance reservation times, or they disallow same day reservation edits after time. So that means if they're editing the reservation too close to the actual time, the system won't allow them to edit it and restrict them. Let's switch to email marketing. There was an enhancement that was made in email marketing, which stopped the ClubHouse Online media libraries to be synced with the Campaigner email marketing media library. Prior to this, any media added to ClubHouse Online media libraries were automatically synced to email marketing media libraries, but that caused many clubs to exceed their allowed media library size limit for email marketing campaigner. So now going forward from mid last year, the media libraries won't sync anymore. Okay, let's switch to the web event management module. So we introduced a new enhancement that to the month view of the event management module, where the show more option will now open a new model window, which will be centered to the screen of the month view, and it will show all the list of the events on a given date as opposed to the hover over window. So this will address user experience issues with remaining or pointing their mouse over to just one hover pointer, and they'll also be able to see all the events when there is a long list of events on a given date, and which would cause them to only briefly appear if the mouse pointer moved. Okay, we also introduced a new feature or new enhancement to the list view of the online calendar, which will now display the month and provide the users to the ability to switch to the next month or the last month at the bottom of the screen as well, so that members don't have to, or the users don't have to scroll all the way to the top to do so. Okay, so we have also introduced back in June last year that to provide the clubs to show or view waiting list on the view others attending section on the event details. A new configuration option has also been added titled called show waiting list. This option is only available if view others option is checked in the event management configuration tab. Otherwise, if it is not enabled, the show waiting list will be disabled and unchecked. When this flag is checked, events will be set by default to display the waiting list registrants within the view others attending section of the event details on the live site. Of course, club can configure this default settings and override it on an individual event basis. This feature has also been made available for integrated events back in September. Okay, so we have also introduced a new feature that where clubs can force all event registrations to include at least one member, be it named or unnamed, because this was a significant feature and requested by most of the clubs, as members were able to book an event with only guests on it that caused a lot of issues. Also, let's switch to integrated events. So we this is for integrated events for Jam and Encore. We have introduced a new feature for clubs for which they will be able to ensure that the first member on a given booking is responsible for all charges resulting from the booking by default. Prior to this, the default behavior was to assign responsibility or the charges to the member who made the booking, irrespective of whether they were on the booking or not. So when this flag is checked, responsibility is assigned to the first member actually included in the booking. This flag can only be enabled if if the Jam integration and checkbox is checked on. Okay, so we also released an enhancement where if a club opted to disallow all registration for a given event within the Jam or Encore event configuration, the website would display registration paused earlier, but this was problematic for most of the clubs because they used the flag to prevent any registration at all. So to accommodate this usage, if that flag, the disallow all registration flag, is checked on, nothing will be displayed with respect to registration at any point along the registration timeline, prior to registration, within the registration window, or after the registration end date. This clearly indicates that the event does not have registration or will not have registration at any point in time. Okay, let's switch to content pages. So earlier in the last year, we introduced a new enhancement on the page type page menu item, which allow clubs to add event conversion and phone conversion text from Google Tag Manager. This comes in useful if clubs want to use the number of clicks on the phones or links on the page. When this is configured, the requisite code will be added to the HTML head part of the website to send these conversions back to the Google Tag Manager. It is important to note that this is only available on the page type that is page menu item. Okay, this was introduced last year for maintaining the visibility of all the widgets on the website. When this visible checkbox is checked on, the widget will not be shown or will be shown. A new feature also has been added to all the widgets that will provide clubs with the ability to display a particular widget to selected roles. So let's say if you select a particular widget to display to only members, then only members will be able to view that widget, and no employees will be able to view that widget on the live site of the page. Okay, so this is for the footer section on the website. We have introduced the ability to make all the addresses, email addresses, and phone numbers clickable with all along with all the footers. In order for clubs to have clickable physical address, it will require them to retrieve a link from Google Maps, which can be inserted into the address link field provided on the footer widget. Hey, this was added for the contact and staff page or widgets on the mobile device. So if a member or if a user is using on a mobile device, users can now touch the add to contact button or to add any contact to directly to their mobile device's contact list. There is also a member number field addition, which now allows a member mobile number of a staff to be inserted, and when clicked, they can directly call employee or staff of the club. There is also one more addition of a pause on the phone number links, where a pause will be added when a telephone number link, which includes an extension, is clicked, so that the extension of that phone number will be automatically dialed after the pause. Okay, there was also addition of allowing the club to add a widget on the roster and statements page. A lot of clubs uses the widget on the statement pages to provide important information about any statement related or online payment related information for the members. Okay, so this was an important addition on the website for events. Now clubs can now add teaser images to events, and they can also display those teaser images within the upcoming events widget, that is the large and the extra large widget on the website. And also this teaser images can be displayed within the upcoming events feed of the new CHO mobile app. So clubs can add teaser images to their events by way of manage events. And then going to create or edit event. So it is highly recommended to use square images, since the allotted space is 200 pixels by 200 pixels, and images will also be automatically scaled that their largest dimension is 200 pixels and the other dimension will be accordingly scaled, so that images are never skewed or cropped. So once a teaser image is added to the event, clubs can then configure the large or the extra large upcoming event widgets to display the teaser images if required. This is how it will look like on the website page, on the upcoming event widget, where the photo will show up or the teaser image will show up on about the event name and the date or time of the event. Okay, also there was a change made to the account summary widget, both large and small, where clubs can now hide the current statement balance within the configuration screen of the widget. This is useful for the club who have opted to hide the current statement balance from their statements too. Okay, there was also a change made after the Twitter takeover by X, and where the API, which no longer allows for a maximum number of posts to be retrieved. So a configurable height option has been added to the Twitter feed widget, which will allow the clubs to set the maximum height of the widget on a particular page, irrespective of the number of posts that are retrieved from the API. When the height is set, there will be a scroll bar within the widget, allowing users to view all the posts that are written by the API. Okay, so we have also added a new enhancement for the CHO content block, which is in the dining reservations module, where clubs add details about their dining outlets and the operations. So this widget can now have an expiry date at which point the widget will no longer appear on the live site. This is useful in situations where there are some temporary menus or rules in place which do not apply over the long term. Let's switch to roster. So there was a enhancement added on the roster module that allowed clubs to disable the manage buddies and groups tab from the roster and all of the booking modules you can configure this under roster configuration and the checkbox called hide manage buddies or groups. When this is checked, the manage buddies and groups tabs will be hidden from the roster and all the other booking modules. For the online statements, there was a addition of customizing the minimums display columns, in which the amount left to spend was using the same configuration value as the account balance prior to this release. So this has been addressed by adding a configuration option, and clubs can now configure the label that is called label under the for the minimum balances. By default, the text left to spend will be displayed. However, clubs can configure that so it reads something informative to the members, provided that what they configure is 15 characters or fewer. Account summary for the statements. This release introduces a feature which provides ability to hide the current balance, same as the widget we discussed before. Clubs can now hide the current balance for the online member statements. This is especially useful for the clubs that rely more on the levy than they do on the account balance, since the current balance is largely irrelevant where levy is being implied. To take advantage of this feature, new checkbox is enabled or shown that is called hide current balance. This flag is only available if the club has opted to display or show the unbuilt statements on the statements page, since the current balance is only displayed when unbuilt statements are shown. When checked, members will not see the current balance of their statements. Okay, this enhancement was for displaying the total levy balances, which is a sum of all active levy balances for a given member. This allows members to see their total levy balance across all the purses. To take advantage of this feature, clubs can need to configure a new option that is called display total levy balance. When this is checked, the clubs will have an option to modify the label for the value. So to customize what it says, you can also display any text that is up to a maximum 30 characters. By default, it will read total levy balance. So this was an important enhancement or the feature introduced to ClubHouse Online late last year. So this is to display the cheat details on the levy page or of the statements module. In order to take advantage of this feature, clubs must be running on the displayed JCM version or higher, and also the CHO service update bundle 350 should be deployed to the club. After upgrading JCM and the bundle has been deployed, clubs can run the statement sync on behalf of the members to update the past statements to include levy cheat details. So that levy cheats will be displayed on the member statements. Let's move to the tea times. So for the tea times, there was an enhancement introduced which will allow clubs to provide their members with the ability to hide their names on the T-sheet. To accommodate this, a new configuration option has been added under T-time general settings that is called allow members to hide themselves from the T-sheet display. This option is only available if the club has opted to show member names, or else it will be all hidden names on the T-sheet. So when this new feature is checked on, clubs will be presented with a secondary option titled replacement text for member name. By default, this will say hidden member, and it will be displayed on the T-sheet. So this is how it will look on the members end. So members can also choose to edit their profile under roster and choose to hide their name from the T-sheet display. When this is checked, all bookings after this setting was checked will no longer show the member's name. In order for bookings made prior to this configuration to remove the member's name, it will require the booking to be updated either online or via the back office. Hey, so this was an important feature introduced in August last year. So now it will allow members to indicate that they would like other members to join them on the T-sheet reservation or the tea time reservation. In order to take advantage of this feature, there are some conditions that needs to be met. So the bundle 332 should be deployed to the club. Also, the JCM version displayed on the screen should be at least that's the lowest required version for JCM for the club, and also the ClubHouse Online E3 profile in JCM needs to be set to Tea Time version 5. When all of these conditions are true, club can enable the new feature that's can be selected under Tea Time General Settings that says allow members to invite other members to join them. Once this is enabled, clubs will also have the ability to modify the text displayed within the Tea Times if members have configured their booking to indicate they would like other members to join them by way of configuring the label that says invite text, and by default it will read join us. So this is how it will look like when members first. Let's consider when any member is booking the tea time. So when checked, members can check this invite other members to join, and members will have option to indicate that they would like other members to join them on the reservation. So the invite text and the join us text is linked to the booking, so functioning exactly as the book button on the left. If a club is configured to use exclusive bookings and a member opts to allow others to join them, that will override the exclusivity of the booking and allow other members to book. So, and also it is important to note that if there are 2 or more bookings at a given time on a T-sheet and any one of those bookings is configured to allow others to join, then the invite text will be displayed and other members will be able to book that time. There was another important feature introduced for online tea times where the ability to cancel bookings can be removed if sufficient notice provided cannot be provided as defined by the golf course cancellation policy in JCM tea times. In order to support this feature, club must be running on the displayed JCM version or higher, and the bundle 347 should be deployed for their integration. In order to take advantage of this feature, the site must have the allow cancellation flag within the Tea Times general settings checked on. Also, when it is checked, a new configuration option titled respect cancellation policy flag will be enabled, and when it is checked, it will evaluate the current time versus the cancellation and the date time, which is defined in the number of hours notice required in Tea Times golf course policies, in the golf course cancellation policies. And if the current time is greater than the cancellation and date time, the cancel booking button will not be presented. It is also important to keep in mind that there are several other conditions which impact the presence of this button, including the allow same-day cancellation flag as well as the members standing on the booking. Cancel booking is only presented to the primary player of the booking or the owner of the booking. There was another important feature or an improvement to Tea Times introduced where any rounds excluded from round counts within the JCM tea time management will no longer be counted against the members online when determining whether or not they can play at a given time. That is the rounds per day, per week, per month, or per year. In order to take advantage of this feature, clubs need to be running on JCM version as displayed on the screen or higher, and also the CHO bundle 352 must be deployed for the integration. There was an improvement or enhancement added for the public tea times where the public users will have now the ability to input their mobile phone number when registering for their account. That mobile phone number will be sent to the back office with all public tea time bookings so that it can be recorded in the guest database and utilized to contact the public players in cases of inclement weather or no-shows. For user administration, we have introduced a new enhancement where a change which will allow admins to reset a user's password on a site where MFA or multi-factor authentication is in effect without needing to enter the multi-factor authentication passcode. This is because the MFA passcode is sent to the user's email address to which the club admins do not have access, and they may not be able to have the member provide them before the code expires in 5 minutes. So that's all for What's New webinar for today. If there are any questions.
So we do have our first question. So what's the CHO Premium App? Maybe Rob, you want to explain further?
So the CHO Premium App is the newest version of our ClubHouse Online mobile app that we are providing to our clients, which is more inclined to the latest designs and does have enabled with more functionalities on the mobile apps.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I didn't realize. Was talking into the ether. But yeah, biometric login is available within there. We're adding more and more native features. That app will be used in conjunction with an app you might have heard of over the last couple of days, as we've been sending out notifications regarding the JCS Management app, which is a staff app. And so the new CHO mobile app will be used to create an ecosystem with that app where we'll be able to notify when people arrive and have a message be sent out to your staff. So a bunch of different features that are being made available in that app. And will continue to grow. That's the future of apps with ClubHouse Online.
Okay, thanks, Rob. For the second question, events teaser image is not appearing in the upcoming events widget. Why is the teaser image field not in the original event setup page?
It is in the event setup page, but I'm noticing that it's not there in the widget either, which feels like a bug that got introduced recently. So I was just trying to track that down while we were on the call, but I haven't gotten very far to this juncture. So I will investigate that. Thank you for finding that, and I will see where the flag has gone.
Okay. And then there's a question, are there any email template updates for email marketing?
I don't know off the top of my head, Bryant. Again, it's something I can investigate offline and see whether or not we've introduced any new templates recently, but I don't know off the top of my head.
So far we have not introduced any new updates on the email marketing templates, but we'll look further into this.
Let us know if there's anything specific you're looking for, Bryant, so that we can take that away.
And then to answer Emily's question about Jonas support, you can book an appointment. You can email us first at websupport@jonasclub.com, and then someone can set up a call with you. Then there's another question from Jeremy. With teaser images, what was the module that I need to set to display those images on the Member Central page?
So there is no particular module. It's typically displayed on the homepage of the custom and generic apps, where there's sort of a vertical tiled navigation. The teaser image on that PDF viewer page, for example, or any of the other pages for that matter, shows up as the background of that tile in the navigation. So that's predominantly where we use those teaser images today, is within the mobile app as the background for the navigation tile on the homepage.
Okay. And the next question, to verify with the event integration, this will charge only the booking members?
That depends, Lori. So we've when you with an event integration to the Jonas Activity Management or Encore events, by default, if you've changed nothing in the past 6 months, the person who makes the booking is responsible for everyone on the booking. When you go into the billing process, either through launching point of sale or using the auto charge batch billing, you can specify who's going to pay for which registrants. In addition to that, we added a new feature within the booking screen of Jonas Activity Management and event and Encore event, wherein you can specify the registrant to bill for each line. So you can pick any registrant on the booking can be responsible for any other person on the booking. And we applied a default behavior where you can say everyone pays for themselves. So even if I make a booking on behalf of myself, Himanshu, and Railita, if you have it set to everyone pays for themselves, by default, we'll each be responsible for ourselves. So a bunch of different options. There's differences in what the default behavior is, as well as what you end up doing with the charging once you send it to either an individual charge to point of sale or you try to do a batch billing, you can modify those responsibilities.
Okay, so the next question, with the allowance for relatives to see each other's bookings, is there also an option for relatives to see the statements within their familiar accounts?
That already exists. So there is the ability for the primary member to allow their dependent statement access. Additionally, you can set that up as a default on your site. And again, then the primary has the ability to turn off statement access for the dependents within their account, but absolutely that's available where they can see the primary statement on their family account.
Okay, so the next one, where do we find the URL code for an event on the calendar to link to a push notification?
Himanshu, if you still got control, you might want to show them. It's in Manage Events.
Certainly.
And there's a little link icon beside within the action buttons of every event in Manage Events. And you can just click on that and it'll give you a little link icon.
So I assume you guys are able to see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is the link icon where you can click on for any event, and this will generate a individual event link and you can copy it over. So this is under Manage Events in the Event Management module.
Thanks, Himanshu.
So does Jonas integrate with Square or OpenTable for restaurant management?
Not really. So there's no true integration to either of them. There could be single sign-on integration from the website to OpenTable. We don't do any payment integration with Square unless it's an offline or a third-party integration that's not integrated per se, where you're taking payments and you're settling to a third-party credit card, not integrated. But no true integration to OpenTable or Square at this point in time.
So for the next question, is it or will it be possible for admin to enable members to update their user profile without allowing them to update their photo without approval?
Just reading through it. Allowing them to update their photo without approval. Enable members. No, we don't separate the two into separate. You either are forcing approval or not. It's something we can consider where you can potentially identify which elements you want to allow without approval and which with. It's something we can take away if it's strictly the photo. Stephen, if you want to be more clear that you really don't, you want to approve the photos, but you don't want to approve anything else. Is that what or you don't want to approve the photos and you want to approve everything else? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, as we wait, we can take a look at the other question. Can Stripe recurring payments be set up for members, or do the members have to set them up themselves?
The members have to set them up themselves because they have to enter the credit card information. You really shouldn't have a member's credit card information at your disposal, or bank account information for that matter.
Okay, and then related to that, is the Stripe update automatic or mandatory? We don't accept credit cards at our club.
Nope, not an update. It's an optional module. If you're not using, if you're using online payments and you want to transition to Stripe, you can if you'd like. You don't have to. And with the Stripe Online Payments integration, it can be either or of credit card or bank payments. So you don't have to necessarily use credit cards at all if you go to Stripe.
Okay, and then there's a question about user administration. Where can I change the password for a member versus sending them the link?
I don't think there's any way to reset a password directly. Again, we shouldn't be holding passwords for members. The only thing you could do is potentially, well, I don't even think you can, impersonate that member and change their password. I wouldn't recommend it. I would just send them the link unless the link is truly a problem. But yeah, sending the link is the best option.
This is for the testing module. Has this testing module been updated to allow groups to be sorted by membership type, which for us would be association neighborhood?
Depends on what we mean by membership type. So there's different definitions in different back office systems we use. What we define in CHO as member type is typically fee billing in the JCM system, whereas in Encore and any of our club systems group solutions, it would be truly a member type. So Jennifer, if you want to clarify which member type, if you're talking about the JCM member type, no, not presently. We don't even have that information in ClubHouse Online at this time.
Okay, and then there's a question from Nick. Will this meeting be recorded? It is being recorded, and you will receive an email with the video 24 hours after the session. And we will also upload it to our YouTube channel, ClubHouse Online, a few days after this. And then there's a follow-up from Steven. So right now we have to approve every email and phone change. We would like to just approve photo changes.
So just photos. Okay, something we can take away, Steven, as potential feature.
Okay, and then there's for the app, going back to the app, we use an app but are also required to hold an Apple developer account. Does this still hold true, or is our club on an older version of the available app?
So I would say it does hold true for the custom apps or even the new CHO mobile app. We do recommend you do that. Apple has very strict rules about who is the owner of the app, and that's why we forced developer accounts on clients. It's not our choice. It was forced upon us by Apple. And it causes us any number of problems in terms of cert renewals and in terms of service renewals that we need the clubs to click on. And sometimes you guys don't click on it right away, and then stuff gets interrupted in service-wise. But if we could avoid it, Danielle, we would. Unfortunately, we cannot, given Apple's somewhat draconian rules and regulations around app ownership and app development.
Okay. There was a question that was skipped before for email marketing. When choosing a theme, is it possible to change the background image within the theme template, specifically to drag and drop edits?
I'll defer to Himanshu on this one. Do you have an answer for that, Himanshu?
I'll have to look into this. I don't particularly remember this on top of my head, but I will look into this and get back.
Okay. And then can charges for event registrations be automated? Are waitlist conversion automated?
Not at this time. See, the problem with event registrations is it's tough. They're all of different sizes. They're not necessarily common in size. So when the waitlist opens up, we'll say a registration space opens up for 2, but the first person on the waitlist has 4. We'd be bypassing them. That's why we leave the choice in your hands to manage it so that you can better service your members. If you want to increase the size of the event, you can to accommodate them, but we don't automate the waitlist conversion for those event reg when an event becomes open again, because of the fact that they're not common sizes necessarily. So it's not like for like, not like we would do for a court booking or something. There's only one booking on a given court and anyone can take it.
Okay, I think this is for roster. If they have no photo, can they upload one?
Absolutely. That's a feature that you guys can enable. So there's a few different states in terms of how we handle photos. You can do club photos only, or you can allow members to upload their own. If you have it set to allow up, and Himanshu's going to show you in the roster config where that lives. But you can do none. You can do allow members to upload photos, which means we'll use the club photo unless they upload one in lieu of it. If they do upload one, we'll ship it down to the club, or club only. In that case, they cannot upload their own image. So it's dependent on how you have it configured.
Okay. So the last question, to obtain the mobile app, would this be something I would need to go through sales?
Absolutely. I would recommend contact your local sales rep. If you don't know who that is, drop any of us a line and we'll retrieve that for you and let you know who to contact.
So there's another question.
I see it. Can we prevent it from sending to the back office? I don't believe you can.
No, we can.
The idea is to keep them up to date, so the same photos are on the web as in the back office. There was a time when that didn't work, and nobody liked that.
Okay, I think that's the last question that we have. And if you have any questions, you can contact us at websupport@jonasclub.com. So thank you everyone for attending this webinar, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.